The new Ford Rangers are like when you had a movie that you really liked the first one of, and you hear they're announcing a sequel and you get super excited, and then you watch it and the second one is trash. That's kind of how these Rangers are. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're taking a peek at this Ford Ranger and we're talking about some reasons that it's just not what it should be. Overall, if you guys watch my Tacoma video, you know I'm just not a huge fan of the mid-sized truck segment in general. It's not just the Ranger, it's not just the Tacoma. I'm gonna go over some of those reasons. I'm gonna tell you what I like and don't like about this truck, and also just some mid-size as a general rule. So stick around, we're gonna have a good conversation. So one of my biggest problems with all of the mid-sized trucks is, comparing them to a full size, you would say, hey, being that they're that much smaller and that much less capable, they must get a lot better fuel economy. No, they don't. They must be significantly less expensive. No, they're not. And they, hopefully they have some decent power. No, they don't. And they can tow, but so can a Grand Cherokee, right? Now, one thing I want to say is there is a niche where the Ford Ranger and the Tacoma and things like that make sense, right? Think back, is what the Ranger used to be was a super affordable, reasonably capable, fun truck that you could buy. You could drive it as a daily driver, you could make dump runs, you could give it to your kid and they could beat it up. You saw all kinds of crazy Ford Rangers back in the day, right? We all see the memes, the Ranger Danger, all those things. So Ford came out with the, updated version here, and this one's a few years old, granted, but it's just the one we happen to have at the moment, to kind of lean on that name, try to go after Toyota in that mid-size segment, right, of the Tacoma. And I think they did an okay job. There's actually some things I like about this truck way more than the Tacoma, cab size being one of them in particular. The Tacomas are so small inside. Like, this backseat is okay, but overall it's mainly just the headroom. The difference in this truck compared to like a, similar year Tacoma is incredible. It's much bigger in here. Off-road capabilities are fairly similar. This one's an FX4. For some reason it has street tires. Don't ask me why. I don't know. But that brings me to my next point. These back seats are pretty small, right? If you had kids, if you're dealing with car seats, these just aren't really a family rig, right? What are these? These are, particularly the Tacoma's just as guilty as like some of these diesels over here. For people buying them just because they want one, they've always wanted one, and they think they're cool, right? Particularly the Tacomas more so than the Rangers, but the Ranger is getting there as well. Overall, driving the mid-sized trucks, none of them are ever going to really wow you. They drive reasonably fine, right? They drive okay, they're fine. Mid-sizes used to be, like I say, just that cheap, affordable rig that you could buy for your kid or beat it up, taking it to the dump, whatever. But now at the price point that these things sell for, that's just not really what they are anymore, right? My biggest problem with a lot of them is that they're so expensive for the capabilities, the fuel economy, compared to what else you can get on the market. Because these being rated to tow like 7,000 pounds is absolutely insane. I don't think I would ever tow 7,000 pounds with this thing. I wouldn't dream of it, right? Same thing with the Tacoma or a Canyon. I've towed some loads with the old Duramax Canyons, and I can tell you from towing 4,000 pounds, I would never load a mid-sized truck up to 6,500 or 7,000 unless I just absolutely had to under a crunch scenario, but it would never be my first pick. So with all that being said, who are the Rangers really for? Well, I think the answer is pretty easy, right? The Rangers / mid-sized trucks are for the guy that still wants a truck just because he wants a truck. He likes having the bed. He doesn't want to buy a full-size truck. And you still want a truck, right? That's really it. Like I say, the Tacoma, this truck, there is a niche where it makes sense, and that's one of them. Or real particular off-roading niches, particularly for the Tacomas, things like that. That's where these trucks actually make sense and pencil out. Unless you're doing that, you're really just buying one because you think you want a truck. You're basically buying an SUV with a bed, which, again, if that's what you want, you can spend your money however you want. But it's not what the Ranger used to be. So to me, I mean, the Rangers are fine. They are what they are. They're an SUV with a bed. The payload's actually pretty impressive. It's like 1,600 pounds on this thing, which is, pretty good for what it is. Driving wise, they kind of roll around. They have a lot of body roll. They're just, they're okay, right? They're expensive for what you get. They're an SUV with a bed. They don't have a ton of power. They can't tow a ton. If you just want to say you have a truck and that's what you got, and maybe you like the bed for taking a load to the dump once in a while, then I think they're fine. I've always been a fan of there being options, right? You can buy whatever you want. Just would I advise you to go spend the money that these things bring? No, I really wouldn't. Just in these price categories, you're really knocking on the door, and sometimes even more than a lot of half-ton size trucks, an F-150, a Ram 1500, pick the brand of your choosing, but you're really so many less features, so many less capabilities, you're so much less capable, things like that for so much money. And at that kind of price point, if you are talking SUVs or things like that, there's much nicer vehicles you can buy in terms of features and amenities and things like that, that even still will tow most things that you're ever realistically going to tow with a Ranger, a couple four-wheelers or a little boat or something like that. But that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to talk some more about some reasons I'm not the biggest fan of the midsize segment as a whole. I think Ford did a pretty good job with these Rangers. I don't think they're ever going to be hot sellers for some of those reasons that I mentioned. I'm sure they'll do fine, like Ford does fine with pretty much everything. But overall, this isn't a no-brainer option for much of a percentage of the auto purchasers on the marketplace. Combine a lot of those things with the fact that Ford brought out the Maverick just tells you that even they know this truck just isn't exactly what people wanted in this class, right? You wouldn't drop another truck that, I know it's a different class, quote unquote, but it's the same customers overall. They just wanted to lean on the Ranger name, and it just didn't work for them. What is wrong with this Ford Ranger? It just threw a check engine light, the little wrench, it's shaking in reverse. I don't understand. The thing just started sounding like the fan was gonna come out of its shoes. Oh my goodness. Ford, this is at 19, only 35,000 miles, and it's broken. All right, she's had a bit to cool down. Let's see if she rested herself up and can start now. No. Ranger danger, baby. But that's pretty much it, guys. Drop a like, leave me a comment, let me know why I'm right, wrong, why these Ford Rangers are the best trucks ever made. Anything you have to say, I'm happy to hear it. Thanks. Bye.